Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited you're here for another making podcast. This is my, I guess, monthly to semi-monthly or bi-monthly podcast where I talk about everything I have been knitting, crocheting, crafting on, weaving, all different kinds of things. So if you're interested in any of those things, you're in the right place. My name's Marina, and I am the owner and creator at Pineapple Yarn, which is a hand-dyed yarn company, and I carry a few home goods and knitting accessories as well. So the first thing I want to show off is my finished King Salmon sweater. This is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. I've had this in my queue for quite a while and finally decided this was the time to get it done as we're going into fall. So I used a custom dyed yarn. I don't carry this base in stock in the shop, but it's available as a dyed to order listing. And this is one of my tonals called Mellow Grello. And this color work is Princess. So it is a really nice neon pink. And then the Mellow Grello, of course, is kind of like a dirty yellow green color, which I love. I love that color. So I knit the smallest size, and I'm going to refer back to my notes because I can't keep everything in my brain. But I knit the smallest size. I used the called for needles, which are a US 5 and 7 or a 3.75 and a 4.5 millimeter. I use my Addy interchangeables. They are the metal needles. They're very slippery and very fast. So I love those needles, and I've been using them for quite a while. I can't even remember how long. So what I tried to do with this pattern is, if you are familiar with Caitlin Hunter's patterns, one of her signatures is having a very deep yoke, which fits beautifully with so many different body types. For us short ladies, I'm definitely in the short category. It can be a little overwhelming. So what I tried to do is eliminate a few rows or a few rounds in the color work and then just adjust the color work pattern so it still was cohesive and it matched the original intent of the design. I will post a Ravelry user, and I followed her, basically what she did and what rounds she eliminated. The issue is that I did not gauge swatch, which is fine. However, my row count was, I'm assuming, I really still haven't measured, but I'm assuming my row count was, the count was fine, but the measurement was longer than the gauge swatch. So I actually ended up, even though I eliminated a few rounds, gosh, I want to say 4 or 5 rounds, I still ended up with the same depth of yoke that was called for in the pattern, which I think off the top of my head is 12.5 inches. So I ended up with a very deep yoke. Honestly, it really doesn't bother me though. I feel like I'm just embracing this style of sweater. This was the style of sweater that the pattern designer intended, and I'm just going with it. I don't know, I may have a different feeling about it if I was to put this underneath a coat, because my underarm is right here and the yoke is very deep, as you can see. And you can also see this is very cropped. I did crop this to fit with high-waisted pants, which is just my style right now. But I mean, you can see this is from where I split for sleeves, because it is a top down. So where I split for sleeves, this is very short. I did not have to knit a lot after the colorwork section. So that's not what I intended, but it ended up really great. I love this sweater. I love the colors so much. I love this color combination so much. So I will post a link if you want to knit your own. I do have a dyed to order listing in my shop for this yarn. It's squishy, it's worsted weight, it's great. Yeah, I really didn't modify anything else though, I did the decreases for the sleeves as written. I did the rib as written. Everything basically was as written, I just modified the lengths to fit my body. And yeah, so I really enjoyed this sweater. It was really fun. The only thing I'm not super happy about with this pattern, and it's my knitting, is the color work increases. So I did modify the color work increases to just do a make one using a backward loop, and I feel like the color work ended up being just a little loose. I do tend to knit my color work more on the loose side, and I probably should work on that a little more. But yeah, so you can just see the color work this is where the increases were between each fish motif. And I just don't feel like it looks its best. It could be a couple of reasons. You know, my gauge could be, or my knitting is probably too loose, first of all. And then secondly, I did not use a non-superwash yarn. So this is a 100% superwash merino yarn. And I feel like maybe if you had a non-superwash, it would bloom a little more, fill in those gaps, and you'd probably have a better outcome. But I like superwash for me and my climate. I live in coastal South Carolina, so it's very hot and humid most of the year. And then when it does cool down, it's not for a whole long time. So I do like to knit superwash sweaters because I feel like they aren't as warm as a non-superwash. So it's just my preference, and the colors really pop. So when you have a neon, you have a really vibrant shade. I feel like it really pops on the superwash merino base versus a non-superwash. So that is this sweater, and I did wear it for a little bit today. It was a little warm for it, but I enjoyed it. It was really fun, and I can't wait to wear it when it gets a little bit cooler. I thought I would show off one of my recent finished objects, which is this beautiful Spectra cardigan. And I showed this to you, I think, on the last podcast, and it was nearly finished, but I didn't have the buttons on. So I wanted to show you how the buttons turned out. They're just basic plastic buttons, but I did modify the pattern, so I ended up having 5. I don't know if I love 5. I think it might be borderline too many buttons, but I kind of like the way it looks, and I wouldn't change it at this point, that's for sure. So I just wanted to show you that I did add the buttons, and I've been wearing this cardigan so much. If you want a cardigan that is cozy but not incredibly warm, this is knit from Noro Haruito, which is like I think it's a cotton and silk blend, mostly cotton and silk. And so it is really nice just to reduce any chills. It's great for air-conditioned rooms, or if you're in an air-conditioned building but it's still warm out, this is so great. And then it has this open kind of lacework pattern, so you still have airflow. It's a really great sweater. Be a great cardigan too if you ran warm. Anyway, I did just want to show you those buttons, and I have been wearing it so much. It's a great, great cardigan. I forgot to share what I was drinking today. I have made a decaf pumpkin spice tea from Stash, one of my favorites, and I'm drinking it from a mug that I carry in my shop. This is the color Coral Conch. It's this beautiful, vibrant, it's like vibrant and deep orange. I love it so much. So I do have a new stock of those that I will be putting in the shop. I think I have 2 of these left in the shop right now, but I just received a new restock of all the colors that I carry in the shop. So keep an eye out for that during my October shop update. All right, my next cast on that I want to share with you, this is actually pretty funny. I've cast on another Ranunculus. I don't know what's going on. It's just what needs to be done right now. I need to get it out of my system. So this is the Ranunculus pattern by Midori Hirose. This is the third one I have cast on in the past maybe 2 months. So I'm kind of on a Ranunculus kick, I guess you could say that. And so here it is so far. How gorgeous is that? I mean, I can't get over this yarn. It is so beautiful. So one of the reasons I have really been loving the Ranunculus is I've been playing a lot with combining different yarns and different bases, increasing needle sizes, just really playing with fabric and making your own fabric and then finding a pattern that fits. I'm really into that right now. And the Ranunculus is such a great pattern, you know, just a good jumping off point for that. So I'm knitting this as written. I think I cast on 44 stitches for the neckline, and then I increased to the called for neck size. So instead of, I think the smallest neck size is 30 stitches, and I cast on 44. So I'll increase to whatever, or I increased to whatever it was called for in the pattern. But what I did with this yarn, I'm using 3 different strands in this yarn. I hope you can see all of them. The first one is Pineapple Yarn, the July 2025 Club colorway, and this is on my Nala sock base, which is an 80/20 superwash merino nylon 2-ply. And I have a little bit left. I'm still on the first skein, and it is just a really, really lovely base. It is a heavy fingering weight base, and it is so squishy. Oh gosh, I'm all tangled here. Okay, there we go. So here's the rest of what I have in the first skein. I plan on using 2 skeins of this. This is the same, if you watch my last podcast, this is the same base that I used for my daughter's Ranunculus. That beautiful peach color was so beautiful. So this one is so bright, so vibrant. But what I'm doing is I just want to create some samples and create some garments to show you what to do with variegated yarn. It's so hard sometimes to picture what to do with a yarn like this, especially when we're living in, you know, just what styles are nowadays. Everything's neutral and tonal, and there's not a lot of speckles. There's not a lot of variegated yarn. It's definitely different than when I began to knit quite a while ago. I feel like back in the day, there was definitely a want and a need for variegated yarn and for crazy patterns and just interesting construction. And definitely the trend is now more simple, more neutral. Everything's very subdued. So definitely different. But I'm pairing this Nala sock base with Ito Kinu. Y'all know I am obsessed with this yarn right now. I love it so much. It's a 100% silk. It is kind of tweedy. I don't know if you can see that. There are flecks of a beautiful robin's egg blue, some like peachy orange speckles, a neutral white, kind of beige. I see a gray in there. So it's kind of it's slightly slubby, slightly tweedy. It's not silk, how one normally thinks of silk as being like having a sheen. This has no sheen in it at all, but it has a fabulous drape. It's beautiful. And then I'm also pairing it with Kremke Stellaris, which is amazing for sparkle. I want to show you how thin this strand is. Can you see how thin this is? I mean, it's just a wisp of a sparkle. And this is a lime green color. I'm not sure of the exact color, what it's called, because I don't think I have the label with me. But that is, it is so shiny and beautiful, and it's almost reading gold in the knit fabric. So I'm holding all three of these together and knitting on a size 10, which is a US 10, which is a 6mm, and it's just making this beautiful fabric. It is making somewhat of a watercolor effect. So if you look at just the stockinette portion, you may be able to see the Kinu running through, which is kind of a lime green color. The Stellaris is just adding a little bit of sparkle. And I don't know if you can see the sparkle on camera, but it's very, very pretty. And so the reason I picked these colors is that I had 2 extra skeins of the July colorway, and I really loved it because it was so green and beautiful. And my daughter, who's 12, loves lime green. That is always the color that she gravitates towards. And I wouldn't, it's funny because I don't think that she would think that it's her favorite color, but she just loves it. Like any yarn that I dye that has lime green, she just loves it. So I asked her if she wanted a sweater, and she said yes. So I decided to hold all these yarns together just to see what it looked like, and I think it's coming out so pretty. One thing I did, and this was a choice that I made intentionally because I wanted you to see how a sweater would knit up and how colors pool if you don't switch, alternate skeins. And so I'm going to hold this up far away, and maybe you'll be able to see where it is pooling. Now that I'm just knitting in the round on the bottom of the sweater, you may be able to see some blue pooling and more of the lime green pooling. Whereas up here, because you are constantly increasing and changing the stitches and doing different things, you don't get that same pooling. So if I was not knitting up a sample and I didn't want to show you pooling, what I would do is I would just cake up the second skein of this, and I would alternate every 2 rows or so. If I saw pooling starting to begin, I would either add that second strand of yarn, or I would just change a needle size, maybe go down a size, maybe go up a size. Even just that little bit would change the pooling pattern, I guess. But it is pooling. I'm okay with it because I do want to show you. I want to show it to you and be transparent about this is how variegated yarn knits up if you don't alternate skeins. So you can really see it right there. But I love it. I think it's going to just turn out, it's going to be so, so pretty. And it has been awesome to knit with, or to knit on. And I'm getting close to the bottom. Other than the modification with the neckline, I have not modified the pattern at all. I'll probably knit it to a cropped length on me. She is small. She's probably going to be my size when she grows up. And so it will be oversized on her, but she'll grow into it. Now, the cool thing is that the Ito Kinu as well as the Kremke Stellaris, I will be listing both of these in the shop for my October update. I have a huge shipment of both of those in so many different colors. And I love the possibilities. It's so exciting. Holding one or the other or both of these with your knitting just really is a game changer, and it really brings so much excitement to your knitting and opens the door to possibilities of, getting some of those skeins out of your stash that maybe you wouldn't normally know what to do with. I love the idea of using, maybe doing a 3-color fade, 4, 5, 6 color fade from your stash that you already have, but adding one or both of these, and it just really ups the wow factor of your knitting. So that's what I'm really excited about these days, is this third Ranunculus. And of course, this knitting basket is also in the shop now. I want to share with you my quilting progress, because I have snuck in a few moments here and there to continue the progress of my quilt. So I have to be so careful with these, because as you can tell, I have numbered them. They're all sewn together. So really, I'm at the point where I'm taking the blocks of 4 and sewing the quilt top. I'm assembling the quilt top, which is so exciting. And I have a few extra pieces that I'll hold up just to show you for an example. So this is a pattern by Allison Ramsing. It's called the Layer Cake Geese Quilt. I am definitely on the beginner side of quilters, so I want a pattern. I want someone to tell me what to do, and me not having to guess with measurements and all of that. But I've sewn the flying geese together into blocks of 4, and that's just so fun. Oh, those just turned out so pretty. And nothing is perfect with my sewing, and I don't want to make it perfect, because, you know, I'm kind of just like do my best and have fun. And if there's a couple of points in this that are cut off, I can live with that. So I thought it's just so pretty. So I have 2 of these, and I may sew them together for like a throw pillow or something. Would be really pretty. Or just save it for the next flying geese quilt I make. But this is, all this fabric is from Ruby Star Society. The pattern is called Food Group, and the neutral is the Starry line, but it's white. It's like a beige with white pigment. And so you can just see, those are just so cute. I had 2 of the Food Group layer cakes, and then you cut them down into 5-inch squares. And what I did is I took all the yellows. How cute is that? Those hard-boiled eggs. Adorable. But I took all of the yellows and pinks and real light colors, and I'm using those, and then I set all the greens and blues aside, and I can sew a quilt with those down the line, because those are really beautiful. I thought this one was so funny. I think I may have shown this last time with all the meat and fish. There's some shrimp on there. But it's so cute. There's so many different colors and patterns. So this has just been so much fun to work on. And this is like the fabric that got me. How cute is that? With all the fruit. Adorable. So I think all of my children at this point have helped with this quilt. They have helped iron. They have helped iron a lot. I do all the cutting because I don't want any accidents or mistakes with my fabric, but they have all taken turns ironing. They all helped lay it out and gave their opinion about what needed to be where, if a block needed to be changed or whatnot. So it's been really fun. It's just such a fun, whimsical pattern, and all these fabrics are just beautiful, and it's just been so much fun. So I think that's all I have to talk about this. I did use the tool, the wing clipper, to true up all of my blocks, and I definitely needed it. But then I also purchased the 1/4, it's a 1/4-inch sewing foot for my sewing machine. And of course I received it after I was almost all done sewing these. And I did do a few blocks with that 1/4-inch foot, and boy, did it really cut down on my cutting. Like it really made everything so much more precise. And so I'm definitely going to be using that in the future to, I guess it just helps lessen my cutting with that wing clipper tool. So I'm excited about this. I just wanted to give you an update on that and just keep sneaking in moments where I can work on this quilt. And I feel like at this point, I'm very close, though. I'm very close with finishing the quilt top, though the actual laying out of the quilt and quilting the top, and then of course the binding, it's all, to me, it's all very, I don't want to say daunting, but it all seems like it takes a long time because I haven't done it a lot in the past. So just one step at a time, right? But that's really all I've been working on. I think I don't really have any future plans for projects. You know what I do have? I do have my granny stripe quilt, or my granny stripe blanket, which is crochet. And I am crocheting all of my monthly clubs into it. So I do have a mini skein club, and this blanket is epic. It's definitely getting larger and larger by the month, but I have several months of a backlog that I need to work on. So I'm going to be working on that. And then I have another long-standing project that I really want to be done with, and that is my granny square quilt. And I don't even know the last time I shared that with you, so maybe this next couple weeks I will work on that and then share my progress on that, because that's been I would love to finish that in 2025 because it's been hanging out for a while, and I feel like between the granny stripe blanket and then the granny square quilt, that one or the other needs to get finished, and it's not going to be the stripe blanket because it needs to be larger. So that granny square quilt really needs to be finished this year. But that's all I have to share with you this week. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this podcast, I'd love if you'd give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I will post any info that I talked about down below, and I will be having a shop update the first Friday of October, so keep an eye out for that. I hope you're enjoying your crafting, whether it's knitting, crocheting, sewing, weaving. I hope you're enjoying it all and enjoying your autumn as well. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you in a couple weeks. I hope you have an awesome day. Bye.